Hi everyone, we're going to look at the teacher view now in Myblueprint, and this will kind of look something similar. Once you've set up your account, you'll be able to see the most important thing and what you want to have access to is the class. So if you teach more than one classes, you might be in more than one class setup. And as mentioned before, we created a Fusion 910 course here at ABS, and I've added the 4 teachers that also teach that class. So they'll be able to go in and look and see, and the list of all the students will be here. But of course, for purposes of this video, we just used an example that I created with not a real student, Jane Smith. And we can see what grade she's in, and we can see, so these are the activities. So we have the 7 activities based on the core competencies. And we can also go over here to the activity list. And these are the only core competencies that we're focusing on right now at ABS. If you want to add more, you can at your discretion, of course. But for now, for the purposes of where we're at, this is kind of what we have. So we can see with the core competency pre-assessment, it says 100% is completed. Well, that's only because we have one student in here. And basically, we can look at that by clicking on it, and then we can see who's completed it. So right now, it says, okay, Jane Smith, it's in her portfolio called self-assessment. I recommend that you have the students create a similar portfolio name, so that way it doesn't get too confusing on where you have to look if you do want to go into their own separate account. Here, it'll list all the students. So in this case, here's what she uploaded and then what she wrote. So her reflection that she wrote in there. So now for us, we can type in here, great reflection. And we can also write some feedback, feedback to them as well. So great reflection. Have you considered varying your goals in some way? So just some more food for thought, and we're going to post that. So that'll just give them a little more food and for thought as to maybe can they vary, the competency in another way or add some more goals, or how do they feel that that's going to look at the end of the year for them. So we can just add some little prompts in here, and any teacher can do that. And what we'll see is based on the final assessment, the evidence pieces that they're going to upload, which will be any activity from their course. So that'll stay, and the students will be able to view that. Now, if we just go back to the overview, and here we can view her account. So we can either click on it from here, or if we view on it here. So now basically it's kind of taking me in as Jane Smith, not as the teacher. And I can go directly in and just have a bit more of an in-depth view on her account, if that's how I wanted to look at things. But from here, we can't really add any reflections on our end. So I would encourage that you go in from the standpoint that we saw in the beginning here, which is just directly from the activity itself. So now if we just go in to have a look at the critical thinking, so no students have uploaded any evidence here. And so that's what it'll show. Once Jane does something, say in her physics class, they go to Playland, and she feels, that the data booklet has in some way developed in designing new experiments or how to look at things, then she can implement that here. And then she can upload a reflection with that. I did include over here what those core competencies are looking for, so I can experiment with different ways of doing things. I can develop criteria for evaluating design options. So it gives them an idea of what they're looking at and what their kind of expectations are with each of the competencies in there as well. So it's got those descriptors. And so they have this pre-assessment that they can look back on, and they can use that as a reflection piece or something to base upon, as they're progressing through the course. So that is it. That's the look at the teacher side of things. And I hope this will help prompt some more encouragement with the students as far as them self-reporting on the core competencies at the end of the year. And there is parent access. So all the students need to do is just give them their username and account, similar to what they would do in Moodle, and then they'll be able to view at the end of the year. And we'll talk a little bit more how teachers can report on that. Thank you.